Welcome to this free immigration help channel. Today is March 25th, 2023, and we are getting into volume 42 of me answering your immigration questions in the comments. As you can see, I have all of them open. Before I start, I'm gonna mention, as I always mention in every single video, I am not an immigration attorney. This is not a legal advice. All the information that I provide in my videos on this channel are directly from official government sources like USCIS. Actually, let's put it on the homepage. And of course, the Department of State with their visa bulletin, NVC, and so forth. So let's start with the very first comment from Ibekwe Ernest, and I hope I'm pronouncing correctly. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing. My case was documentarily qualified, which means that it was all done, completed, approved by the NVC, which is congratulations, that's definitely good news, by May 5th, 2022, and my marriage is over 2 years now. When will I get the interview? Okay, so great news is that you're documentarily qualified. That is always good because it's a long process. It takes some time to become documentarily qualified. The bad news, unfortunately, is that because of the backlog, because of the delay, and that's not the same backlog that we have on the immigrant visas for categories where the immigrant visa is not immediately available once you are documentarily qualified. Because we are talking in your situation about spouse, the immigrant visa is already available for your case. It's just because there is a delay in processing, that is why those cases are on the delay. So whenever it comes to spouses, actually just recently, 2 days ago, we found out, because the new visa bulletin came out for April 2023, that there is now on the cases that were actually current with the immigrant visas, there is now delay. This one right here on the F2A. Now this is specifically for spouses and children of permanent residents. Now I'm not sure if you're a permanent resident or if you're a US citizen, but considering that there is a delay of 3 years, as you can see, it shows 8th September 2020 for the F2A category, and 3 years delay on the category where the immigrant visa is immediately available once you're documentarily qualified. It just says that National Visa Center is quite overwhelmed with whenever it comes to the processing, which is really unfortunate because most of the times whenever the immigrant visa whenever it is immediately available for the categories where it is immediately available, most of the times it's within a month that NVC is able to finish up everything and then forward the case to the local US embassy for the further processing. But now, as you can see, there is a delay, and that is of course, you know, the backlog from the everything else that, I mean, some of these visa categories, they take forever. They take years to wait. But of course, we also had the artificial delay that was caused in the processing of a lot of most of these cases because of the whole pandemic situation that we had about 2 years ago. So if you're looking at this about 3 years, I wouldn't worry about it too much because these are most likely, they will speed up. I don't think this is this is gonna stay this long for too long, but we will see. Again, you have to stay on top of the visa bulletin. I have done an April update just, I think, 2 days ago, and I will be making, obviously, when the next visa bulletin comes out, we will have to look at the next, 2-3 at least visa bulletins to kind of give estimate, to see how fast these delays are being resolved. So make sure to subscribe to this channel and stay on top of the updated visa bulletins, because that's where the answers will come from. So let me post a response saying that I've addressed this, and hopefully we will know a little bit more information with May visa bulletin, just to see if those cases are being caught up to. Alright, moving further, I definitely cannot read this name, I'm very sorry. This video is really good for those people willing to apply for asylum. I'm really glad this video was helpful. Moving further to Gleb Gubin. Hi there, first of all, I want to thank you for your help to the people, and I have a question also. You're very welcome, thank you for asking. A new bulletin for April 2023, yes. We were just talking about that, has been published, and the dates have not moved at all. At least I'm interested in F1. priority 1 category. Tell me please, can my parent as a citizen of the country file a complaint with any authority against NVC for such a delay in work? I understand that there was a pandemic and backlog happened in connection with it, but the dates have not moved at the moment for a year, 1 year and 4 months respectively. I would like to ask the question of whether NVC employees work at all or what they are doing, since there is no decrease in numbers or their changes. But the pandemic is over and all this already seems just strange. Is it possible to file a complaint against them with any authority? Do you know any information regarding this? It's just that it's no longer funny at all because people are waiting, people are in different situations and not always in comfortable ones. Thank you again. I know it's more look a kind of complaint than a question, but what can we all do in this situation to see any changes in dates? Gleb, no, you don't need to apologize at all. I definitely understand your situation because I personally do have my own petition for a beneficiary, for someone who I petitioned for, and according to the visa bulletin, I have me and the person that I petitioned for, my relative, we have about 13-14 years more of a wait, which is, it's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. It's crazy. Whenever it comes to the NVC, it's always a blame shift game whenever it comes to these organizations, right? Whenever it comes to government in general and different sectors of the government, because you have the executive branch saying, oh, it's not our fault, it's the legislative branch, and then the legislative branch, they are completely living in a whole different world without any kind of understanding of what the executive branch is doing, and then they blame shift it on somebody else. They blame shift it on the political crisis, on this pandemic situation that honestly the problem that became out of this pandemic situation was caused directly by this legislative branch, all right? Because they were the ones who said, oh no, we're going to close the country completely. We're not going to process any of these immigrant visas for a year and a half, for however long they were closed. None of the US embassies will be open. Complete shutdown. Why? Because flu. And again, this is really comes down to, if you want to argue about, political and all of that sort of stuff. I don't want to get into all of this on this channel. But to me, whenever it comes to stuff like this, you don't shut it down, all right? Because like you said, and you said it definitely spot on, people have different situations. Some people, their life depends on it, all right? Somebody who came here as an asylee, as a refugee, right? And then they went through the whole process of getting, a permanent residence, and then they're petitioning for their relative to get them out of the, bad situation that they're in still. And now they have to wait for years, 3-4 years, for spouses, for children. In your situation, it's a F1 category, so it's children of U.S. citizens. A child of a U.S. citizen, yes, over 21, granted, but still, it's still your parent. You're still, a child of a U.S. citizen at the end of the day. Why is it that you have to wait? And I'm gonna use this again as an opportunity so whoever's watching, so that they know how long it takes. F1 category from December 14th, so about 9 years for documentarily qualified cases. About 9 years of a backlog for a child of a US citizen, child over 21. Yes, just think about that. Now, to answer your question, Gleb, whenever it comes to complaints and whenever it comes to reaching out, yes, you can submit the public inquiry to the NVC. Yes, you can hire an attorney who will file a more official complaint. Unfortunately, though, none of that stuff, because it becomes a game of blame shift, if you send anything, really complaint to the NVC, what they will reply is that they have nothing, no control over it. They cannot expedite it. They cannot do anything about it because the immigrant visa is not available for this case. That's it. And on their website, it says clearly that if the immigrant visa is not available for your category, that's it. There's nothing you can do, which is really sad. So the best thing, and again, it's not a guarantee, it's not going to do probably anything for your case specifically, but I would still recommend doing that for everyone who's watching, because that brings awareness, that gives a nudge to people that we have that sit in Congress that do not understand the process at all, how that works, how some of the people are waiting, people who came here legally, who did everything legally, who went through the background checks, through the interviews, through the course, paid the fees, medical examinations. These people, they are waiting for years and years and years, all right? And it's definitely not right. And meanwhile, we have somebody who is crossing the border illegally, and then they have more rights than someone who went through the 15 years of immigration, and then their relative has to go through the 15 years of immigration. All right, it's completely ridiculous. But nevertheless, reach out to your local elected officials, reach out to your congressmen from your districts, reach out to the senators, and bring that awareness to that. Let them know that this is what you're going through, that this is the situation that you're in, this is what you've gone through already, and now you have to wait some more. So to them, it most likely will be an eye-opening experience, but we really do need to bring that awareness, and that's really one of the reasons why I started this channel, because I've been through this process myself, and like I said, I still have 14 years to wait to see my brother. My brother has never been here in the United States of America. I tried to invite him many times. He was denied a regular visitor visa, which is also ridiculous. And 14 years I have to wait for him to immigrate here, which I already haven't seen him for about 15 years. So yeah, and everything legally, paid everything. So reach out to elected officials. That's probably would be the only thing that I can recommend. Again, it's not gonna do much, but at least it will bring the awareness to the problems that we are facing whenever it comes to the immigration. A lot of people do not know that. Most people do not realize it, how bad it is. Okay, let's move on to the next comment from RA. Hello, thank you so much for taking the time to look into my question. I asked about submitting my application too early, 7 months instead of within 6 months. I simply Googled. Okay, yes, RA, I remember your question, yes. So you Googled when should I submit application for green card renewal, and the answer I got was this: when to renew your green card. Permanent residents with a 10-year green card generally should apply for renewal immediately if their green card is already expired or within 6 months before it's set to expire. Don't apply too early though. If you do, USCIS may deny your application and keep your payment. Alright, thank you. I'm really grateful for you for bringing this up, and I think it's going to be helpful for everyone who's watching this, alright? Because this is what I always refer to whenever I talk about don't get the information from third-party sources, and it's kind of counterintuitive because this channel is a third party, alright? That's why I always try to say the information that I provide whenever it comes to dates, whenever it comes to processing, whenever it comes to fees, whenever it comes to steps that you need to take in the application, I always do directly from official government sources. And this right here, I can bet right now that this is not from official government source, but from third-party website that operates based on clickbait, based on scare tactics, because this is what you see. If you do, USCIS may deny your application. May deny your application. First of all, this language right here, what is this? May deny your application. It's not clear. It's definitely not from USCIS, because may deny your application. Okay, so they may not. That's like a 50-50 chance. There is absolutely no point of saying this at all. And then keep your payment. Keep your payment. This is not what I'm concerned. I'm concerned about renewing my green card. Why? So to prove my point, I'm gonna copy this because I want to make my point solid. And we're actually gonna go to Google, and we're actually gonna type this into Google and see what comes up. The very first thing comes up: when to renew your green card. And let's see, when to renew your green card. Permanent resident with 10-year green card. Permanent resident with 10-year green card. I think that's what you saw. Don't apply too early though. If you do, USCIS may deny. And this is from Boundless Immigration. I would say shame on Boundless Immigration, whatever this website is. I've never been to this website. I never seen, but this right here, this is misinformation as clear as it can be. Because if you look USCIS, if you go through the official U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services government website, you are not going to find anything about submitting it within 6 months, and that USCIS may deny your application because you submitted earlier, and that USCIS will keep your money. All right, you're not going to find language like this, wording like this, and obviously the information like this in general. Now, why is this done? Can you really blame them? Well, I mean, they're trying to make money, because I bet if you go to this website, it's giving you all the scare tactics, right? And then they tell you that they will fill out the application for you, and then they charge you money for doing that, which everything you will have to fill out yourself anyway. So really, at the end of the day, they're not doing anything. You're just providing the same information to them, and then they submit the application when you could have just done it all yourself, all right? Which you still have to provide all your information. But that's not the problem, okay? If somebody is charging people to prepare applications, I don't have a problem with that. There are people who are uncomfortable filling out their own application, filing it, dealing with all this process. I understand that. I don't have a problem with that at all. What I really do have a problem with, however, is that they provide misinformation, first of all, and that they use scare tactics whenever it comes to, and this is some messed up stuff. And I again, it's not particularly, this is just what came up. Boundless immigration, I think these guys should be ashamed of themselves for doing this, for misinforming people like this. So thank you, RA, for bringing this up. And it's really good. It's really helpful, because people really do need to see that and understand that. There's a lot of stuff out there. It's kind of like you have this broken system, right? And the immigration system is broken. There's no doubt about it. It is broken. It's a man-made system that is broken, just like a lot of other stuff that is man-made. That's becoming broken, that is becoming worse and worse, all right? It's one of those. And then on top of this broken system that is already broken, corrupt, all right, you have all this formation outside that is growing and growing and growing, and everybody's trying to take a piece out of it. Everybody's trying to take something out of your pocket, okay, trying to benefit on already broken system by doing stuff like this, by doing scare tactics, deception, misinformation, and that's sick. That's really sick. I don't really have any other word for it. So RA, thank you for bringing this up. I'm sorry I kind of got on the rant. I got on the rant with Gleb, and I got on the rant with you. I'm sorry about this. I don't know what's going on today. Maybe it's Saturday. That's why. But again, for everyone who's watching this and who's listening to this, make sure to get it. Even my hear this. What are my responses? Don't take my word for it. You know. If I'm helpful, good. But I want to be helpful where I point you in the right direction, and the right direction will always be the official government sources. That's it, nothing else. Okay, let's move on to the next one from H Digitally, following up. Thank you, H Digitally, for following up. I really appreciate it. Thank you for replying my query. Always welcome. But I have been facing problem, which is it's been more than 5 months that the National Visa Center NVC received from U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services USCIS an approved Form I-730 file, but I did not get any further response from domestic embassy, which I think it takes more than normal processing time for interview scheduled. My other friends gets interview dates scheduled within 2 months after NVC receives from USCIS form. So what is happening with my processing time? Okay, that's a good question. Thank you for bringing it up and following it up. So whenever it comes to NVC, again, it's really hard with the NVC and how long they take with processing, especially on the I-730 cases. Because whenever it comes to I-730 cases, it's not all of the countries that process these cases. A lot of times you are being scheduled to appear at the U.S. Embassy that is not in the country where the beneficiary is. So they actually have to travel to go somewhere. And basically, Department of State, they call it, I think it's called domestic presence. I'm not 100% on this because this is very narrow, very specific kind of area, department in general, not as a Department of State, but as a department, as like as an area. So I would say a few things that you need to look at whenever it comes to your friends. It's really good to compare, but when have their applications been filed? How long ago was it? All right, is it something recent, or was it done before pandemic? So that's number one question that you need to ask yourself. Number two question is, are your friends, when their I-730 was processed, was that in the same country? Okay, because again, some countries, they take longer to process. Why? Because the U.S. embassy that is there, they don't process the I-730 cases at all. So they actually have to schedule it in a different U.S. embassy in another country. Now on the not the NVC, but the Department of State's website, I don't have the exact link, but if you search on the Department of State's website, whenever it comes to US visas, they actually do have the information where specifically for I-730. So what you can do is go to the Department of State's website, and then in the search box, just type in I-730, and you will see this page of which countries where they actually do those interviews. So I think that might have been the reason for the delay. One last thing that I would recommend in your situation is, if you haven't done that already, definitely submit a public inquiry form with NVC and follow up on the case, because you never know because if your case has not been transferred to the US embassy, to the appropriate US embassy yet, that's not because of the US embassy that is not scheduling the interview. That's because the NVC has not transferred the case. So follow up with them, submit the public inquiry form, give them a little bit of a nudge, and then see what happens. If you can, follow up with an update once you do, and once you get the response from them, that would be very, very helpful, and hopefully you're able to get this situation resolved. All right, let's move on to the next question from Gustavo Tapia. I submit my petition this week. When can I expect some news? Thanks for your videos. You're very welcome, Gustavo. Thank you for your question. So whenever it comes to I-130 petition, there's a lot of things to take into consideration. The very first thing, probably about a month, typically, to get the receipt notice from the USCIS saying that, hey, we received your case. So that's the first thing. That's the first good news from them, saying that everything was, received, and the petition was accepted. Basically, that's the good news. So about a month for that. But then whenever it comes to the whole processing, whenever it comes to the approval, it really depends on the category, who you were petitioning for. It depends on which service center you sent to. It depends on your own status. Are you a legal permanent resident? Are you a US citizen? So there's a lot of variables. So if you do want a little bit more accurate information, please follow up. Just make sure, and whoever's watching too, please, if you're following up on the comment that I've put, don't respond to your own comment here. Submit a separate comment, because for some reason, if you do respond to your comment here, I won't be able to see the response. YouTube does not send me the notification, so please submit a separate comment. Let's move on to the next one from Zara Kazimi. Hi sir, my daughter over 21 married, and she have a son 6 years old. Can she apply for visa for visit to USA category F3 and petition alien relative on 2017? Okay, so I'm assuming you're petitioning, you submitted the I-130 alien relative petition in 2017 for your daughter, I'm assuming. Category F3, obviously, because you're a US citizen and she's married and she's over 21. And you're asking if she can, meanwhile, while the petition is pending, while the immigrant visa is still not available, can she apply for a regular visitor visa, non-immigrant visa? Yes, she can definitely do that, and that would be, for anyone who's watching this, that would be probably the best case scenario that you can do for yourself and for the beneficiary, for your relative, in this case your daughter. Why? Because you can submit all this expedited requests, all these complaints to the senators, congressmen, and deal with all this headache, right? But if you had your relative with you here, meanwhile, whichever status that they're on, if they are here with you, that makes the process much simpler. At least that they can come and visit, especially when we're talking about our children, So yes, I would definitely recommend just it's really simple. You're sending a simple invitation, your name, your information, her information, saying that you're inviting her family, her whole family. You can invite her whole family to visit you in the United States, that you're a US citizen and you've been here for a long time and you want them to visit, and that's it. And then she just goes to the US Embassy, she schedules the appointment with them for a regular non-immigrant visa, and then she goes and then she asks them for a regular non-immigrant visa. Now, whenever it comes to when you have the immigrant petition, most likely that question is going to come up during that non-immigrant visa interview, and they're gonna ask, hey, we see that you have a petition that was filed for you, just being honest is the best thing to do, saying yes, we still have 10 years that we have to wait. So meanwhile, while we're waiting, I want to go and I want to visit my mother that I haven't seen in a long time already. So just being honest, should not be any problems. Now, the reason why I say should not be any problems, because there are unfortunately countries, and I'm from one of those countries where U.S. embassies are super harsh. All right, you go there for any reason, and you get there and you get a denial for literally no reason. All right, you can have all the documents, you can have a letter from US senator saying please give this guy a visa, and they will deny a visa. It's that bad. So unfortunately there are countries like this, there are US embassies and consuls like this. I just want you to kind of keep that in mind just in case. And also there is a very slight chance that they might take that immigrant petition that you have submitted, the I-130 petition, as an intent to immigrate whenever it comes to the non-immigrant visa interview itself. They can say, well, how can we give you a non-immigrant visa when you are trying to immigrate to the United States? Just saying that, not to scare you, but to be prepared. If a question like this come up, the best thing to do is always just being honest. Like, well, yeah, eventually, but I still have another 10 years, 5 years, whatever. Do the research on the visa bulletin. If you have submitted the 2017, actually, I will do that for you, because I'll use it as an opportunity to demonstrate the navigation on the visa bulletin. So if we take a look at the, let's see, F3 category, which was submitted on the 2017, we're going to look at the dates for filing, which is the priority dates. This is what this graph demonstrates here. F3 family sponsored category, November 2009, right now, as of April 2023, they're processing. So November 2009, between now and November 2009 is 14 years. So about 14 years of backlog. And let's see, you have already 5 years. You have been already waiting 5 years. No, 6 years. 6 years. 6 years, and I said there's 14 years of backlog. So about 8 more years you will still have until the immigrant visa becomes available. It's very rough estimate, because things might speed up, things might slow down. In fact, with the visa bulletin, they have not been moving along for a while now, as we discussed earlier in this video. So I can hope, the only thing that we can hope is that they start moving faster. All right. But about 8 more years. So just being honest about it and saying, hey, yeah, I do have an immigrant petition. 8 more years I have to wait. So what, do you expect me not to see my mother for 8 years? And this is honesty, this is being straightforward, and hopefully it works out. But yes, definitely, and I would recommend it to anyone, really anyone who is waiting for on a petition for alien relative, to go ahead and invite their relative here and at least have the ability to see them. All right, moving further to Pejo. Got thumbs up from Pejo Pai. Gonna give a heart to that, and then we're gonna move on. Probably a question from Maria Satiropolo. Probably mispronounced it. I'm very sorry, but I think I'm gonna answer this as the last question, and then I'll address the rest of the questions in the volume 43. All right, so let's start with a question from Maria. Thank you so much for the info. You're very welcome. Thank you for watching. Can you clarify, when a petitioner applies for NVC, is that happening at the same time as filing for I-130, or after this gets approved? Okay, great question. So whenever it comes to the NVC, you submit the I-130 to the USCIS. That's it. You don't have to worry about the NVC at all. Once USCIS approves your I-130 petition, they themselves transfer your case to the NVC for further processing. And then everything that you need to do, and on the NVC part, of course, you will get the email with the login credentials to their portal. And on the portal, you'll have to do a whole bunch of stuff. You pay some fees, submit some documents, affidavit of support, all the good stuff. How long does it take for the I-130 to be approved? 10,000 thanks. Well, 10,000 welcomes. So whenever it comes to the I-130, it really depends on the filing status of the petitioner, the category of the beneficiary that they're inviting, and the service center where the petition is going. So for example, if we look, and again, I'm going to use this because I haven't used in this video USCIS website at all, so I'm going to use it as a demonstration. So we're going to go to tools, we're going to go to case status online, and then whenever it finally decides to load, I don't know why it's taking forever to load, click again. Wow. Okay. Come on. Technical difficulties, I guess, here. Let's open it in a new page. Wow, this site can't be reached. Well, I guess USCIS is doing something to their website, uscis.gov. Let's see. Well, this one, it works. I guess something is up with this particular page that is not loading up. Okay, so anyway, I guess they're doing some kind of maintenance on their website. Wow, I'm too often on USCIS. That's how you know that you're too often on USCIS, is that you can catch them doing the maintenance. But if you go to the case status online and you scroll all the way down, there will be a page that you can click on. It's called processing times, and in the processing times you will be able to put in the form information and also the filing status and also the service center where it goes to, and that will give you the approximate processing time for the USCIS part. All right, until typically, if everything goes well, for the approval of your I-130 petition. So check that out. It kind of will give you a little bit more information. All right, so let's just to clarify, if the filing happens through USCIS and NVC in the US, not through an embassy. Okay, that is actually excellent. Thank you for clarifying that, because that is changes pretty much everything. So whenever it comes to filing the form I-130, if the beneficiary is in the US, there are a few scenarios. If you are filing for a category where an immigrant visa is immediately available, like for example, let's say you're a US citizen and you are petitioning for, let's say, your spouse, okay? Or if you're a legal permanent resident and you're petitioning for your spouse. In both of these categories, the immigrant visa is immediately available. In that case, you do not have to wait for the I-130 approval from USCIS. You can submit the application for adjustment of status, the form, and I really hope that USCIS works, at least for the forms. Let's find out. So we're gonna go to forms. All forms, come on, good, it's loading. So 485, and that is the application to register permanent residence or adjust status. You can submit, you don't have to wait for the approval for the I-130. You can submit I-130 together with the form I-485, application to register permanent residence or adjust status, together with the form I-130 if the immigrant visa would be available immediately after the approval of I-130. Now, if you're filing for the category where the immigrant visa is not immediately available after the approval of I-130, then you cannot do that. Then you actually have to wait for that I-130 approval, and once that immigrant visa becomes available, NVC will notify you and say, hey, what do you want to do? Where are you at? Are you here in the United States? Are you out of the United States? What do you want to do? And then, depending on where you are, then you are starting the process, either filing the I-485 directly because the beneficiary is here, or doing the whole NVC like you would if the beneficiary was outside of the United States, you know, going through the interview in the US Embassy, so far, so forth. So, if you have any follow-up questions, and that goes for everyone who is asking, you're more than welcome to come back and ask. Just make sure to ask in a separate comment, because for whatever reason, if you respond to my comment within your comment, I am not going to be able to get the notification for that for some reason. But thank you everyone for asking these questions. I hope my answers are helpful to you. As always, thank you for watching. God bless, and I'll see you in the next video.